Welcome to the deep dive. Today, you're going to be looking at eClerx Services Ltd,
Right.
a company that you may not have heard of before, but they are behind the scenes for a lot of really complex data processes for some really big companies across finance,
Right.
retail, you name it. So think of them as like the silent force that kind of keeps the global business machine humming. That's kind of a way to put it.
Yeah, a lot of the nuts and bolts.
Exactly. And we have got their latest press release, hot off the presses from November 5th, 2024, as well as a deep dive investor presentation that is chock full of juicy numbers. So you ready to kind of cut through the jargon with me and get to the insights that matter?
Absolutely. Let's do it. I'm excited.
Yeah. So first off, the big picture is that eClerx is crushing it. They've got their Q2 FY25 results showing a 14.8% year-over-year revenue jump, which is pretty impressive, landing at a cool INR 844.7 crore, which translates to about 98.8 million USD.
Yeah.
But hold on, it gets even better. Their profits are also up 3.1% year over year. So I know what you're thinking. These are impressive numbers, but why?
Right. Well, that's where things get really interesting. If you dive into their investor presentation, the star of the show is their operating platform group, or OPG for short. And their revenue is up 12% in USD terms. And here's the kicker. They're doing it with increased efficiency.
Okay, so OPG, that's where they handle all those, all those intricate business processes for their clients, right? So they're basically becoming like the ultimate efficiency gurus.
Exactly. And that efficiency boost translates directly to a higher EBITDA.
Okay.
Which, for anyone who's unfamiliar, essentially it's a measure of a company's operating profitability. So think of it like a snapshot of how effectively they're making money from their core business activities. Higher EBITDA, that's a big win.
Okay, so efficient and profitable, got it. But here's something that stood out to me. eClerx isn't just making money in one region. They're bringing in revenue globally. Yeah. So 87% comes from USD, sure. But they also got 8% from euros and 3% from British pounds. That's pretty impressive, isn't it? Like they've kind of got their fingers in all the global economic pies.
Yeah, it's a really smart move on their part. This diversified revenue stream basically acts as a safety net, protecting them from big swings in any single currency. So, imagine if something happens to the USD. eClerx is already cushioned by its earnings in euros and British pounds. That's resilience in action.
Totally. It's like they're playing the global economy like a chess game, always thinking several steps ahead. Now, let's talk about their plans for the future. So the investor presentation highlights their focus on two key areas: BPaaS, which stands for Business Process as a Service, and A&A, or Automation and Analytics. These sound like some seriously buzzworthy areas.
You're spot on. These are hot areas for a reason. Let's break down BPaaS first. So instead of companies handling their own complex business processes, eClerx steps in and does it for them. So it's like a specialized outsourcing service. This allows companies to focus on what they do best, their core competencies, while eClerx handles the nitty-gritty, makes everything more efficient, more cost-effective. It's like having a super-powered back-office team on demand.
So they're essentially taking on the heavy lifting and letting companies focus on what they do best. Now, what about A&A, Automation and Analytics? How does that fit into the picture?
This is where eClerx really shines in terms of future-proofing. So imagine a world where, a lot of those tedious tasks are handled by smart algorithms, freeing up human talent for more strategic work. That's the power of automation. And with all that data flowing through their systems, they can leverage analytics to provide powerful insights to their clients, helping them make smarter decisions. It's a win-win situation.
Okay, so they're not just keeping up with the times, they're actively shaping the future of how businesses operate. That's pretty incredible. But a company is only as good as its people. And eClerx headcount has grown a whopping 11.6% year over year, bringing them to over 18,000 employees globally. So they're clearly attracting and retaining top talent.
Yeah, and it's not just about attracting talent, it's about taking care of them. And eClerx understands that happy employees are productive employees, which is why they have the Employee Welfare Trust.
Now, this sounds intriguing. What exactly does the Employee Welfare Trust do? What kind of initiatives are they involved in? I'm genuinely curious how eClerx is investing in their workforce beyond just salaries and benefits.
Yeah, well, they're quite active in providing financial assistance for things like housing, education, and even medical emergencies. They also run programs focused on employee skill development and career advancement, They're really trying to create a culture where employees feel valued and supported.
Which, let's be honest, is a breath of fresh air in today's fast-paced business world.
Wow, that's impressive. So they're not just ticking boxes. They're actually walking the walk when it comes to employee well-being. Now we can't forget about their commitment to corporate social responsibility, or CSR. And the investor presentation mentions significant spending in this area, especially on education and skills development. They even highlight that they've impacted nearly 17,000 lives in Q2 alone. That's a pretty big number.
Right.
It is. And it speaks volumes about their dedication to giving back to the community. But here's something even more interesting. If you take a look at their BRSR and sustainability reports, you'll see that they're not just doing CSR for good PR. It's deeply embedded in their business strategy.
Oh. So it's not just an afterthought, it's part of their DNA. They're truly walking the walk when it comes to being a responsible corporate citizen.
Exactly. And this commitment to ESG, which is environmental, social, and governance principles, is something that resonates deeply with investors and consumers alike. People want to support companies that are doing good in the world. And eClerx is a shining example of that.
Okay, so we've got a company that's financially strong, globally diversified, committed to innovation.
Yeah.
And deeply invested in its employees and the community. It's a pretty impressive picture so far, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. But we've only just scratched the surface. There's a lot more to unpack in these reports, and I think you'll be surprised by some of the insights we uncover next.
Okay, so we've established that eClerx is on a roll, but what about their future? Are they just going to kind of like, sit back and enjoy the ride, or are they actively looking for ways to keep this momentum going? I'm eager to see what their game plan is.
Yeah, well, their investor presentation gives us some clues. They're definitely not resting on their laurels. They're aggressively pursuing new deals and partnerships, particularly in those hot areas we discussed earlier, BPS and A&A.
That makes sense. They're striking while the iron's hot.
Yeah.
Capitalizing on these high-growth markets. But do they have the financial muscle to pull this off? Like, these kinds of expansions can be pretty costly.
You're right. It's not just about ambition. You need the resources to back it up. And eClerx seems to be in a strong position. Their Q2 FY25 cash and cash equivalents stand at a healthy INR 8,359 million, which translates to roughly 98.8 million USD. So they've got a war chest ready to fuel their growth plans.
Okay, so they've got the ambition, they've got the strategy, and they've got the financial firepower. But let's not forget about the challenges. Every business faces them, and eClerx is no exception. So what are some of the potential headwinds that they might encounter?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's not all sunshine and roses. The global economic landscape is constantly changing, and there's always a degree of uncertainty. Currency fluctuations can impact their earnings, geopolitical tensions can create instability, and who knows what other surprises might be lurking around the corner.
Yeah, that's true. We live in a very volatile world, and businesses need to be prepared for anything. And let's not forget about competition. The business process management and analytics space is pretty crowded. So how does eClerx plan to stand out from the crowd and maintain its competitive edge?
That's a key question. And I think the answer lies in their commitment to innovation and agility. They're constantly evolving, refining their offerings, and exploring new technologies to stay ahead of the curve. Their focus on specialized services, particularly in those high-growth areas we discussed, gives them a distinct advantage. They're not trying to be everything to everyone. They're carving out their niche and becoming the go-to experts in their chosen fields.
It's like they're saying, we're not just going to play the game, we're going to change the rules of the game.
Exactly. And that kind of forward-thinking approach is essential for any company that wants to thrive in today's dynamic business environment.
Now let's shift gears and talk about their human capital strategy. So they've experienced significant growth in headcount, which is impressive considering how competitive the talent market is these days. So what's their secret sauce? How are they attracting and, more importantly, retaining top talent?
Well, it goes back to what we discussed earlier. Their commitment to employee well-being. Their employee welfare trust initiatives go beyond just the standard benefits package. They're offering financial assistance for housing, education, even medical emergencies. They're investing in their employees' professional development through training programs and mentorship opportunities. And let's not forget about their strong CSR initiatives, which create a sense of purpose and pride among their workforce.
It's like you're creating a work environment where people feel valued, supported, and motivated to contribute their best. That's a powerful recipe for attracting and retaining top talent.
Absolutely. And it's a testament to their understanding that a company's greatest asset is its people.
Now, I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier, their focus on ESG principles. It's clear that this isn't just a box-ticking exercise for them. It's deeply ingrained in their business strategy. But how does this commitment to ESG actually translate into tangible benefits for the company?
That's a great question. And the answer is multifaceted. First, it enhances their reputation and brand image. Consumers are increasingly drawn to companies that share their values. And eClerx's commitment to sustainability, social responsibility, and good governance makes them an attractive choice for clients and partners.
So it's not just about doing good, it's also good for business.
Exactly. And it goes beyond just attracting clients. Investors are also paying close attention to ESG performance. Companies with strong ESG credentials are often seen as less risky and more sustainable in the long term, making them more attractive investment opportunities.
That makes sense. Investors are looking for companies that are not just profitable, but also responsible and forward-thinking. And eClerx seems to be ticking all the right boxes.
They are. And let's not forget about the impact on employee morale and engagement. People are more likely to be passionate about their work when they feel good about the company they work for. And eClerx's commitment to ESG helps create a positive and purposeful work environment, which in turn boosts productivity and employee retention.
So it's like a win-win-win situation. It benefits the company, its stakeholders, and the world at large.
Precisely. And it's a testament to the fact that doing good and doing well are not mutually exclusive. They can actually reinforce each other.
All right, so we've talked about their strengths, their strategy, their challenges, and their commitment to ESG. But I'm curious about the specifics of their growth plans. The investor presentation mentions their ambition to expand, but what concrete steps are they taking to achieve these goals?
Well, as we discussed earlier, they're actively pursuing new deals and partnerships, particularly in the high-growth areas of BPaaS and A&A. They're also investing heavily in research and development to stay at the forefront of technological advancements in their field. They're not just waiting for the future to happen, they're actively shaping it.
Okay, so they're targeting high-growth markets and investing in innovation. But what about their existing business? How are they ensuring that their core operations remain strong and profitable while they pursue these ambitious growth plans?
That's where their focus on operational efficiency comes into play. They're constantly looking for ways to streamline their processes, reduce costs, and improve productivity. They're leveraging technology to automate tasks, optimize workflows, and enhance data analysis capabilities.
And we see that reflected in their solid EBITDA margins, right? They're not just growing revenue, they're also managing their costs effectively.
Exactly. A delicate balance. But they seem to have found the sweet spot between growth and profitability.
It's like they're playing a game of chess, making strategic moves to capture new opportunities, while also fortifying their existing position. But as with any game, there are always risks involved. So what are some of the potential pitfalls that eClerx needs to be aware of as they navigate this complex landscape?
Well, one of the biggest risks is execution risk. They've got ambitious plans, but turning those plans into reality requires flawless execution. They need to attract and retain the right talent, manage their growth effectively, and adapt quickly to changing market conditions.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's one thing to have a great plan on paper, but it's another thing entirely to put it into action successfully.
Absolutely. And they also need to be mindful of the competitive landscape. The business process management and analytics space is constantly evolving, and new players are emerging all the time. eClerx needs to stay ahead of the curve, anticipate industry trends, and adapt their offerings accordingly.
It's a dynamic environment, and complacency is not an option. They need to be constantly innovating and pushing the boundaries to stay ahead of the competition.
Exactly. And let's not forget about the importance of managing their global operations effectively. They're a multinational company with a diverse workforce, and they need to ensure that their operations are seamless and integrated across different regions and cultures.
That's a lot to juggle. It sounds like they need a highly skilled and adaptable leadership team to navigate all of these complexities.
They do. And from what we've seen in their reports, they seem to have a strong leadership team in place, one that's experienced, forward-thinking, and committed to the company's long-term success.
Okay, that's reassuring. Sounds like they're in good hands. But let's not lose sight of the bigger picture here. Why should our listeners care about eClerx's success? What's the takeaway for them?
I think eClerx's story is a compelling example of how a company can achieve financial success while also prioritizing sustainability, social responsibility, and employee well-being. It's a testament to the fact that doing good and doing well are not mutually exclusive. They can actually reinforce each other.
It's like they've cracked the code for creating a truly sustainable and successful business model.
Exactly. And I think their story can serve as an inspiration to other businesses, showing them that it's possible to make a positive impact on the world while also achieving their financial goals.
It's a message that resonates deeply with me, and I'm sure it does with our listeners as well. But let's dive a little deeper into their future prospects. What are some of the key factors that will determine their success in the coming years?
Well, I think their ability to execute on their growth strategy will be crucial. They need to successfully integrate their acquisitions, expand their client base, and continue to innovate in their chosen fields.
And they need to do all of this while navigating a constantly changing economic and technological landscape. It's no small feat.
It's not, but based on what we've seen in their reports, I'm confident that they have the talent, resources, and the vision to achieve their goals.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked about their strengths, their strategy, their challenges, their commitment to ESG, their human capital strategy, and their future prospects. But I want to leave our listeners with one final thought-provoking question. With eClerx clearly investing in the future like this, how might this growth impact the broader business process management and analytics landscape? What do you think?
That's the million-dollar question. It's fascinating to consider, isn't it?
Oh.
Will they become like a major disruptor, setting like new standards for the entire industry? Or will their success inspire even more competition, leading to like a wave of innovation that ultimately benefits everyone?
Yeah, I'm leaning towards the latter. I think eClerx's success is a signal to other players in the market that this is the future, embracing innovation, prioritizing ESG principles, and truly investing in your people. If other companies want to stay competitive, they're going to have to step up their game.
I agree. eClerx is raising the bar, and that's a good thing for the industry as a whole. You know, it forces everyone to think differently, to push the boundaries, and to find new ways to create value. And ultimately, it's the clients who benefit from this increased competition and innovation.
Absolutely. It's like a rising tide lifts all boats. So as we wrap up this deep dive into eClerx Services Ltd, what's the one key takeaway you want our listener to remember?
I think the biggest takeaway is that eClerx is a company that's firing on all cylinders. They're financially strong, strategically savvy, and deeply committed to creating a positive impact on their employees, their communities, and the world. They're proving that you can be both profitable and purposeful, and that's a powerful message.
Yeah, well said. And for anyone who wants to learn more about eClerx, I highly recommend checking out their website. They have tons of information on their services, their clients, their culture, and their commitment to sustainability. It's a great way to get a deeper understanding of this dynamic and innovative company.
Yeah, I completely agree. And remember, this is just a snapshot in time. You know eClerx is a company on the move, and their story is still being written. It'll be fascinating to see what they accomplish in the years to come.
Absolutely. So keep an eye on eClerx. They're a company to watch.
Oh, yeah.
And their journey is sure to be an inspiring one. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of eClerx Services Ltd. We'll see you next time for another fascinating exploration on The Deep Dive.